What up? What up? What up, my man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Had
Glad to hear,
great conversations today. Great conversations today. Like
dude.
really eye-opening, really brain enhancing. I know that's hard for
Yeah,
you
man.
to have,
Yeah,
but
the 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 brain enhancement is definitely very challenging. That's true. Yeah, it's interesting, and I think, and a quote comes to mind. I'll share it here in a sec, but I think what I love about our conversations is that it doesn't stop in conversation. And I've started to come to the I've started to come to the realization of how much idle talk is just annoying. Like
ah,
talking about issues and doing nothing about it is like actually becoming very annoying to me. And
there's a
I'm
lot of
noticing in
that.
the areas there's a lot of that, dude, so much. And there's areas of my life that I'm identifying that I want to address those things. Like for example, I want to lose weight. Well, dude, stop talking about losing weight, man. Just like if you want to lose weight, it's not a hard thing. You just consume less calories than you burn, maybe work out, maybe control some of your portion. Like there are things you can easily do. Just stop talking about it and do it. And I know, and I'm not being insensitive. I just read this book called The Four Tendencies, and we all have internal and external expectations that we meet. And depending on which one of the tendencies you are, or a grouping of the things that you are, there's ways that there's reasons you do what you do, right? From a personality test standpoint, just like any other personality test, it just informs. And so, like me being probably strongly in the there's upholders and there's questioners, rebels, and the obligers. And I feel like you're probably an upholder, like you're very checklisty guy. It's good. There's a lot of good to that, and I feel like I'm more of an obliger. Big thing about an obliger is they meet external expectations, but they don't meet internal expectations. So they don't do the things that they want to do for themselves.
Mm.
And what they need is accountability. Like accountability is a huge way to get those people to where they want to be. And so I'm not suggesting that you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and suck it up and just lose weight. I'm not saying that. Find the way that works for you, but then do that thing, right? Do whatever it is that you need to do. And if you need accountability, like cool, reach out to us and we can help you out with that. But it's interesting to me what's really been hitting, what really caused me to dive into this topic. And I want to be very, very clear here. The politics surrounding this are completely inconsequential to me. I could care less about the inaction of politicians and all the blah blah, like just the blabber, the flapping of gums, right? But it's this whole thing with these like mass shootings and school shootings and the stat. I think why this kind of prompted a lot of other thoughts for me is the other day with the last school shooting, there were two things. One in Tennessee, one was that they came out and said the number one cause of death for school age children is now shootings.
Mm.
And that like
Breaks my
blew me
heart, dude.
away. Dude, it is so sad, but it's also like that fact alone, like take all your politics and all your feelings about guns and all that stuff and all your personal rights and the amendments and blah, 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 whatever. Take that out and just reflect on the fact of the statistic. And I'm sure there are people out there are going to be like, oh, that statistic is blah, blah, whatever, right? Like I get it. I get you can argue every statistic and all that kind of stuff. That's not the point. Even if it's halfway true, is that acceptable to you? If it's a quarter true, is that stat acceptable to you? To me, it's not, right? And to me, when you break down the conversation and the talking about, well, my rights and you know I want to be able to have this and do this and it's all about me, and then an impact of that being a stat, that stat is completely unacceptable to me, right? And it's politicized because it talks about guns and your personal rights and all that stuff. Again, nothing I want to get into because I think that misses the point. The point is that kids are dying at a high rate, at a higher rate from guns than they are of like just natural causes. And then the other side that hit me is that I have a friend who lives 1 mile from that school, and the the head of the school goes to their church, went to their church. The head of school is also killed.
Mm.
And so it became very personal because they were hurting. And it affected their community. Can you imagine your community? Any listener, just imagine your community in 1 mile, a school 1 mile from your house and your community, my kid's elementary school, effectively, that's where it happened. And the impact to that, right? And so it's just this, it's this very interesting, and this quote that I mentioned that just popped in my head is I think, I don't know if it's Edmund Burke, I don't know who said it, but it's the only thing necessary for evil to triumph in the world is that good men do nothing. And you could replace men with people, whatever. Good men and women do nothing. So the only thing necessary for evil to triumph in the world is that good men and women do nothing, right? And so I have all these things, like these different thoughts going through, and this can apply to anything. Really, what brought this to the forefront was these school shootings. And then just yesterday, there was another mass shooting. More mass shootings than we have days in the year thus far. But this brought it all together for me to really look at myself and my call to action and to determine the things in my life, whether personal or external, that I'm no longer willing to tolerate without doing something about. So, for example, being you and I are passionate about, fighting human trafficking. And so we connect with, we're part of, and we desire to give to and support, organizations like Unbound Now and Exodus Road, right? Veteran causes, we're passionate about them. So we're going to go hammer nails for VCP, give money to Warrior's Heart, like connect with those people. But it just challenges me to do something about those things that I find to be unacceptable. And am I doing enough, or am I sitting on the sidelines? And it just has been a challenging question that I've been wrestling with, that was prompted through the statistic that I find to be abhorrent, unacceptable. And I think any rational human being, taking the idea of their personal gun rights out of it. I'm a gun owner, so like I'm not, so don't come at me with that. But taking that out, just the stat itself has caused me to feel emotion towards things that I feel to be abhorrent.
Yeah, man, it's challenging for sure. It's I think where a lot of people get to, in these places, is that it's so overwhelming. And we had a conversation with Susan Peters, who's the CEO of Unbound Now, and they're fighting human trafficking around the world. And I think it's the second largest, business in the entire world, creating billions and billions of dollars a year. And there's
Wait, let's be specific to let that sink in. What exactly is the second largest business in the entire world?
human trafficking.
Selling other human beings,
Yeah.
and exploiting them. That is
Yeah.
the second largest, most profitable business in the world.
Yeah.
Is selling other human beings, mostly children.
Yeah.
Just want to let that sink in.
So that, and then the top away that children are dying today is being shot in mass shootings. So that's overwhelming, right?
And I want to clarify that point too. In this country, the most developed country in the world, that's where the stat exists, in this country, right?
And so the question was posed to Susan on our podcast, which hasn't come out yet. It will come out in a few weeks. But the question is, where do I even start? That it's such a large thing, that who am I as an individual to make a difference, right? And so I think that thought and idea goes through a lot of people's minds of, well, how can I make a difference? I'm just one guy, right? I can only give so much money. I can only give so much time. And her challenge to the question was, well, you can save one life. And that's a huge difference to that one person. You can say yes to one child that's removed from slavery. That is a major impact to that one child that was saved.
And their family, right? What if
and
it's
their
your kid,
family.
right? And
Yeah.
your family.
It also makes me think about a book I read recently called Live No Lies by John Mark Comer. And um, he talks about, it's coming from a Christian faith background. And he talks about, the devil, the flesh, and the world. And the devil, his main purpose is to get lies into your mind, right? Lies of I'm not good enough, or I can't do anything, or pornography is going to make me happy, or making more money and having all these materialistic things, or that's going to bring me joy. And you start to think that way, to where then the flesh kind of gets involved and you just desire it. There's this fleshly desire of wanting more for yourself. It's all about me. And the more people that do that, the more people that believe these lies that the devil is injecting into you, and the more you become fleshly in desire and want, and it's all about me, that kind of creates a culture and a world that it's okay to have and do those things. It's okay to kind of tell a little bit of a lie. We were just talking before this about raising capital for real estate deals, and how much truth is out there versus semi-truth when you're posting on LinkedIn about how much capital I've raised and closed on a real estate deal. There's a lot of like semi-truth in a lot of that stuff. And that's kind of come to a place where like it's just okay. Like, right? It's in a worldly view, it's just okay to tell a little bit of a lie, just a partial lie, partial truth, to maybe attract someone to you that you can raise more capital for more deals, more stuff, more real estate, more wealth. And it's just this interesting idea of like it coming back and it just all being about you, right? And it all starts with just these lies that are injected into our current world, and it's becoming more and more prevalent. So what do we do about it? And John Mark Comer says to get back to the truth, which is the Bible, and understand and be a follower of Jesus and be an apprentice and a disciple of Jesus and walk in his footsteps. But if you're not a believer, like what else can you do? Like what's the call to action to actually make a difference, to save that one person from being trafficked, to save that one school from there being a mass shooting? And I don't have the answers, but I know that there's some deep self-reflection that could take place to maybe get you there.
Yeah, and I also don't have the actions, and I, but what I will tell you is that one sure action that will never make a difference is to do nothing. I know that to be unequivocally true.
Yeah.
And I think that's the interesting point. So,
Or
and I don't
or
want
or to
anybody.
get angry based on some politicized view on
Oh my
either
gosh.
way, right?
It's fascinating to me how upset on both sides of any issue people get, but then that translates, all that really translates to is a lot of energy and yelling and having my opinions and validating my opinions and my rabbit holes that I look at, right? There's no real action. And I'm good with you actioning either side of it. From if you have you've read up on it. I'll tell you, one of the coolest things I've been listening to recently is debates between um Christian and atheist scholars. Like William Lane Craig talking to what's his name? Well, I'm brain farting his name. Sam. Uh, he's an author. Sam Harris. Sorry, and Sam Harris being the atheist, and William Lane Craig being the Christian scholar. And what's fascinating about these things is that they have a very profound debate centered around respect, and they're not like light on each other. I mean, they challenge each other very, very hard, and they challenge each other in ways that are extremely well read. and they challenge their listeners too to better themselves and become more educated on the topics. And so I find the discourse to be comforting, right? Like I obviously fall on one side, but it doesn't invalidate the arguments that Sam Harris makes or whomever makes. It doesn't invalidate the effort that they put in the arguments. It doesn't invalidate their how hard they've worked on that argument and that point of view and that perspective and that opinion. And they can also acknowledge when they don't have all the answers, when their argument is not based it does not have a strong foundation. They acknowledge it. They acknowledge the weakness, because that's a great tactic as well, to take the fire from your opponent by acknowledging, well, and I see that these are my shortcomings, the counter argument. But that requires you to understand the counter and put effort into the counter to understand that point of view as well. And that's what's missing in all these conversations. It's like boils down to like, well, I know a lot of kids are getting shot, but I don't care because one, it hasn't impacted my community. And two, I really love my guns and my rights and my constitutional, all that stuff, which we served a collective 40 years defending the Constitution. So I'm not giving a position on how I feel about that topic. I'm just simply saying that you don't even acknowledge the other side of it. And it's just a very curious place that keeps us in inaction. So take a point, and I would say, here's a call to action. First off, decide what you're passionate about. Do you even know yourself well enough to know what you're passionate about? Do you know what you truly care about and love and where you're gifted? We just went through this exercise with our mastermind from a perspective of giving. Have you taken an assessment of the areas that you believe you're blessed in and that you actually have skills? Now take that assessment. And before you do that, we did the big dreams, right? What are your big dreams? What are the big dreams? What are the things that you really are passionate about? Next step, take an assessment of where you're gifted. And then the final step, we called it action. It was called action. Combine your big dreams, combine your giftedness, and come out with a list of things you can do about that thing. So if it's gun control, if it's human trafficking, if it's losing weight, if it's serving others, if it's something, whatever it is, you at least have a framework to be aware of it, and then you could do something about it, right? And then these things that you find reprehensible and that you find unacceptable in your own personal life and what you see in the world, you can actually do something about it. And if you save one person from whatever, obesity or financial ruin or whatever you're passionate about and have gifting in, was it worth it? I would argue yes. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
And it's worth coming off the sidelines. It's worth having an opinion that some people may not like. People may not like this podcast because of what they infer from what I'm saying, which will be interesting because I'm really not giving an opinion on either side of that thing. You just mentioned gun control, right? You're going to have people, they're going to be mad about something. You mentioned obesity, people are going to be mad. Oh, you're calling people fat or you're whatever, right? People are always going to be outraged. Who cares? Who cares?
Well,
What are you so passionate about that you'll do something about it?
and it will, I guarantee you, it will bring some meaning to your life beyond
Amen.
just, working and providing for your family and making a living and, having a nice house and a nice car.
Binging that next Netflix show that you just
Yeah.
can't miss. Right.
Yeah. Guarantee you'll find some meaning in your life if you dig a little and go that far.
Yeah. One thing I love to put on my post, man, do something. Just do something.
Yeah.
Do something. And educate yourself on it. Find your passion, find your gifting, do something, make the world a better place. Somebody else will agree with you, even if we disagree or we agree. Somebody out there will agree with this cause that you're pursuing, and hopefully it's a worthy cause. And you like Stu said, right? Like you said, dude, you'll find deeper passion and meaning, and you may find something outside yourself, which is a pretty rad place to be.
Sure.
Giddy up.
Do it.
Do something. Hashtag do something.
That's going to be the title of this podcast. Do something.
Do something. Hashtag. You got to put the hashtag.
Oh, okay. Hashtag do something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be searchable by hashtags and all that good stuff.
True
At
dat.
least that's what I'm told. That's what I'm told. I don't know.
See
Get
ya.
some. Bye.
Bye.